decency even in how people are arrested, Mr. Speaker, be it for whatever crime that they have committed, Mr. Speaker. Because that is what happens in developed worlds. Unless you're a criminal and a fugitive on the run, I don't see a reason why, Mr. Speaker, police officers must use public money, taxpayers' money, to hunt people around, running around, and to come into people's home, as opposed to using better means, Mr. Speaker, that is cheap, affordable. We are talking about austerity measures, Mr. Speaker. That ought to be part of the austerity measures. How much fuel do some of these police stations burn? Just hunting around people who, with one phone call worth 2 shillings or 3 shillings, they will have found their way to that particular police station, Mr. Speaker. And this is part of the reform which I hope in the tenure of a very good distinguished senator, Majority Leader Emeritus, Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki, we shall see, Mr. Speaker. Then, Mr. Speaker, you move on to clause 3, that despite the provisions of subsection 5A, the relevant house or its committee may require a person to appear before it within a shorter period, as it may determine, taking into account the urgency of matter before the house of a committee. This is when Parliament is in need of a particular individual, and for one reason or the other, they are looking for an opportunity for you to present yourself, you know, that there is a matter that they feel that your attendance or otherwise is needed, Mr. Speaker, and that is extremely important. Section 4, Mr. Speaker, is just an amendment of the Principal Acts, a clean up, you know, where witnesses are given opportunity to be heard prior to the impositions of fines. Verifying, these are basics of law, Mr. Speaker. The fine shall be a civil debt recoverable summarily in accordance with the debts, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, finally, is on section 5, where an order of arrest is to be effected by a police officer. The clerk shall transmit the order to the Inspector General for execution. This is now when, if the clerk have reached out to you, they cannot find you, Mr. Speaker, then they'll be left with no option other than to inform them that we cannot reach this particular person, and therefore find your ways. A person under arrest, Mr. Speaker, shall be held at a place as specified in the National Police Service Act or designated by the clerk for purposes of holding such persons. Mr. Speaker, Parliament Police Station will be such an ideal place for such occurrence, Mr. Speaker, where for one reason or the other, you can find yourself that instead of arresting Senator Osotsi and taking him to Limuru here, and you know he comes from Vihiga, a very warm part of the country, if you place him in Limuru Police Station, he can easily lose consciousness because of the cold of the night, Mr. Speaker. That's why a more familiar environment, like the police station in Parliament here, Mr. Speaker, will form a particular holding place of importance. Same can be said of all of us, Mr. Speaker, because we know all these things, that today it happens to members on this side, the following day it's members on the other side. Therefore, it's important to make this possible. In this subsection, officer of the House of Parliament means any officer acting under the orders of the respective speaker or duly authorized by the respective clerk. These are just consequential amendments. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, this is an important amendment, something that we have discussed for a long time but have never actualized, Mr. Speaker, giving decency to members of Parliament so that we enjoy and we are not stopped on our streets in going about our duties. There are many people who are not happy with the decisions we take on matters that appear before this House, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, it is important that members of Parliament, in going about their duties, feel free to represent their people. They don't feel intimidated by anyone, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I want to appreciate this proposal. There is also something else that Senator Osotsi, I don't agree with you. When you want to impose, I have always said this in the past, 500,000 for somebody who has snubbed the summons of Parliament is a slap on the wrist. The people who snub parliamentary summons are arrogant and rich. So even the 2 million that you're asking for, in my humble opinion, is too little. Somebody must feel there must be a price to pay for anybody who's not being responsive and dishonoring summons to Parliament, be they public officers or whoever. Once Parliament has summoned you, Mr. Speaker, Parliament is a gathering of the people of Kenya. When the people of Kenya say they want to have a meeting with you and they have issued a summon, there is provided in procedure, Mr. Speaker, what a summon is. You know, it should be distinguished to the ordinary citizen so that people don't confuse. There is a difference between an invite to appear and a summon. By the time it gets to a summon, Mr. Speaker, it's because you have dishonored invites several times, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I think 2 million, Senator Osotsi, is still little. We need to be tough. There are people who are owed this money. No. That's another point which I don't want to lose. First of all, you need to increase the money. And secondly, we need to provide mechanisms of recovering this money, Mr. Speaker. I know, and the office of the clerk can correct me, there are public officers that we find for non-appearance. There are governors that we find for non-appearance last term, Mr. Speaker. And up to date, as we speak, to the best of my knowledge, they haven't paid. I wish we will have provided here, Senator Osotsi, for ways of recovering that money. The way in a court of law, if you are found to have dishonored a fine, Mr. Speaker, the court finds way of either selling goods that are known to you or finding way of enforcing this particular fine. So, Senator Osotsi, before we conclude on third reading, that is something which I want to plead with you. Increase the amount to something like 5 million Kenya shillings, and also ways of enforcing, Mr. Speaker, so that we find ways of compelling people to pay that particular fine. With those very many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support and appreciate the industry that has gone to into the thinking of making this bill. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mwaruma.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa hii fursa umenipa ili kuunga mkono huu mswada wa Parliamentary Powers and Privileges ambao umeletwa na Senator wa Busia wa Vihiga, Senator Osotsi. Kusema ukweli, huu ni mswada mzuri ambao unapatia uhai ibara ya 125 ya katiba ya kwamba bunge inaweza ita mtu yoyote ili kuja kutoa ushahidi, na ibara ya 50 ambayo inapeana ruhusa kwa mtu yoyote kusikizwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimekuwa kwa hili bunge nafikiri ni mwaka wa 7 sasa, na tumekuwa na shida saa zingine kupata watu ambao wanahitajika kuja kutoa ushahidi katika hili bunge, iwamo ni magavana ama mawaziri, na hii imepelekea kutopata ukweli kuhusu mambo kadha wa kadha. Mheshimiwa Spika, katika bunge iliyopita kuna magavana ambao wamekataa kuja katika Senate Public Accounts Committee ili kuja kutoa ushahidi. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, sababu ya ugatuzi, pesa nyingi sana zimeenda katika magatuzi na mara kwa mara zimefujwa na hazijatoa huduma kwa wananchi wetu. Pia kuna mawaziri kadha wa kadha wa bunge la kitaifa, wa serikali ya kitaifa ambao wamehitajika kuja kutoa ushahidi, Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini mara kwa mara hawaji, na hiyo imepelekea kucheleweshwa kupata majibu ya petitions nyingi. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, nakubaliana moja kwa moja ya kwamba faini ambayo inatolewa ni kidogo sana, na wakati maseneta wengine walipokuwa wanachangia walisema ya kwamba hii faini ya shilingi 500,000. Kuna magavana wengine wanauliza kama kuna M-Pesa ama paybill ili watume hiyo 1,500, na nafikiri hayo ni madharau. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono wengine ambao wamechangia ya kwamba hii faini iongezwe na iwe milioni 10, na pia kuwe na njia ya kuifanya hiyo iwe deni ambayo inaweza chukuliwa kulingana na ile inaitwa Public Debt Act, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono pia ya kwamba kuwe na mbinu ya kulazimisha hawa wateja hawa mashahidi kuja katika bunge ili kutoa ushahidi, na wasipokuja basi kuwe na mbinu ya kuwashika na kuwaleta katika bunge, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Na naunga pia mkono kama inawezekana kuwe na polisi ya bunge ambayo itapewa nguvu za kushika hawa mashahidi ambao hawataki kuja katika bunge ili kutoa ushahidi. Mheshimiwa Spika, kutiwa nguvu kwa hii sheria itaipatia bunge meno na uwezo zaidi ambao utawezesha bunge kufanya kazi yao ya uangalizi ama oversight, ambayo hadi sasa, Mheshimiwa Spika, imekumbwa na changamoto nyingi kwa sababu bunge imeonekana kama haina meno ama uwezo wa kutosha wa kuleta mashahidi ili kutoa ushahidi. Mheshimiwa Spika, nafikiri sitakuwa na mengi zaidi ya hapo, lakini ni mswada mzuri wa Mheshimiwa Sosi ambao inatakana tuunge mkono kwa sababu unapelekea kufanya rahisi kazi ya bunge ili kuhakikisha kwamba pesa ambazo zinatolewa na ushuru wa mwananchi zinatoa hiyo kazi ama zinafanya kazi, na pia kwa sababu sisi kama bunge ama wabunge ni wawakilishi wa wananchi, tukiitisha petition ama maombi ama statements, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwamba zinapata majibu kwa wakati unaofaa. Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono.
Senator Methu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise also to support this particular bill, and Honorable Speaker, owing to the fact that we derive our mandate from Article 96 of the Constitution of Kenya, it is our cardinal responsibility to ensure that we protect the dignity and the powers that have been bestowed to this House, Honorable Speaker. And it has been said, and I don't want to buttress that point beyond what has been said by my colleagues, that Parliament works in plenary here and through our committees, Honorable Speaker. And we enjoy as much powers in our committees as we enjoy here in plenary, Honorable Speaker. And I would want to borrow the words that have been used by my leader, the Honorable Aaron Cheriot, that Parliament is a meeting of the people of Kenya. That the people of Kenya have caused an invitation to you, have extended an invitation to you, Honorable Speaker. For those of us who serve as chairmen of committees and who also serve in committees that are called accounting committees, Public Investment Committee that is led by Senator Ososi, and the Public Accounts Committee that is led by Senator Moses Kajwang, that I sit in as a member, we invite most of the work that we do, Honorable Speaker, because you've seen today, part of what has been laid by the leader majority as papers here, Honorable Speaker, are over 10 or 15 reports from the Auditor General of different counties, Honorable Speaker. So we invite governors to come and answer questions on how money has been used in their counties, on how well they are or how prudent they are using the resources that have been passed by this House, Honorable Speaker. Just this afternoon, we have voted on the additional allocation bill that hopefully will be assented to send more money to the counties, Honorable Speaker. It cannot be, Honorable Speaker, that people that we invite to come and shed light on the usage of money, Honorable Speaker, are very happy and they clap very hard. I saw them when they had a retreat with the President in Naivasha. They are really insisting that their money must remain at 450 billion. They are very happy to ask and urge the Senate to send more money to the counties, Honorable Speaker. But when we call them to come and account for that money, Honorable Speaker, we get a lot of problems from the witnesses that we invite here to come and answer questions, Honorable Speaker. I'm particularly excited, Honorable Speaker, although I would also want to borrow from the words of Aaron Cheriot and my member, Senator Mwaruma. We have been ridiculed by those that we invite. You know, before we get to a sermon, because it is fair that we elucidate this point, Honorable Speaker, before we get to summoning a witness, Honorable Speaker, there is an invitation that has been extended. From the President has been set, especially for the accounting committees, those members of the county executives and the county assemblies that are supposed to appear before the two committees, Honorable Speaker, are given a 1 month notice to come and appear. After 1 month, you fail to come is when we issue summons, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have been treated to some of the, we are given some very ridiculous reasons as to why witnesses are not able to appear before committees, Honorable Speaker. Just the other day, I wish there were members of the Public Accounts Committee who are here. I can see Senator Mariam is here. Just the other day, we were told by one certain governor that they are not able to come to appear before Public Accounts Committee because they are attending some prayers at some place that I would not want to mention, Honorable Speaker. But that morning of the day that we were sitting, Honorable Speaker, the same governor was on our TV show in the morning. So they find more value in attending a TV show, Honorable Speaker, than coming to a meeting that has been called by the people of Kenya or a gathering of the people of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. It is these excesses of some of our partners that we are supposed to work with, Honorable Speaker, that we need to firm up these powers and privileges act, Honorable Speaker. So, just the other day also the Public Investment Committee, I think, fined the governor, and the governor was hard. I know it is not on record, Honorable Speaker, but the governor was hard asking, is there an M-Pesa number that I can send 500,000, Honorable Speaker? Because 500,000 is money that you can send via M-Pesa. You know, they find that money too little that they can just miss. Then another fine is imposed on them. They send 500,000. Another fine is imposed on them. Another 500,000, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, we must ensure that a person feels the pain so that they're able to respect this house and they're able to respect the committees of this house, Honorable Speaker. So, even the 2 million that has been proposed by Senator Godfrey Osotsi, Honorable Speaker, we need to push it to either 5 million or 10 million, Honorable Speaker, so that people can understand and get to understand how important it is to appear before Parliament so that you're able to answer these particular charges, Honorable Speaker. My second and final comment that I would want to make on this matter, Honorable Speaker, we must also get a framework of ensuring that we are able to actually get this money when we impose this fine. It's not just about imposing a fine. It is imposing a fine and having a mechanism of ensuring that you can be able to recover this fine. If we impose a fine of 10 million on the person of a certain cabinet secretary that has refused to honor summons of Parliament, Honorable Speaker, how do we recover that money? So that we are able to recover from their own account, Honorable Speaker. It should actually even be in law, and I think we should be able to propose. If you are not able to meet your loan obligations, Honorable Speaker, you are sent to CRB. We as Parliament should have a mechanism of ensuring that if you have been fined by Parliament and you have not been, that money has not been recovered, you are listed on CRB as a person who is not creditworthy, so that you cannot get credit anywhere, whether you are serving on and that time that you are not serving, until you are able to meet that fine that you have been imposed on you, Honorable Speaker. So we must have a mechanism, Honorable Speaker, of ensuring that we can be able to recover this money, Honorable Speaker. Finally, on the last part of the officers of the House that can be able to cause arrest, Honorable Speaker, I think I'm more persuaded to having a parliamentary police force, Honorable Speaker, that shall be able to help us in ensuring that we can be able to effect this. Just the other day, Honorable Speaker, from our police service, we got a water protection unit that has just been dedicated to ensuring that they protect our water towers, our water bodies, and all our water establishments in the country, Honorable Speaker. Their work is just dedicated to ensuring that they just protect those establishments, Honorable Speaker. We should get a police service that is dedicated to ensuring that we are able to arrest witnesses that are becoming not only those who do not come here, but even the hostile witnesses, Honorable Speaker. You cannot become hostile in court. We have seen witnesses that are hostile in our committees, Honorable Speaker. They do not want to follow the directions of the chairman, Honorable Speaker. These are people that we can be able to lock in somewhere for 6 or 7 hours or 12 hours, Honorable Speaker, until they're able to behave in a parliamentary manner, Honorable Speaker. So with those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, so that I can allow my colleagues to also make their contribution, I want to support this bill, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Kavindu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this bill for parliamentary powers and privileges. It's actually overdue because, Mr. Speaker, I was here since last Senate, and I've experienced a lot of frustrations, especially when the governors are called at the peak to come and appear and they don't come. Most of them don't even give an excuse or even a right to say that they are busy and they won't make it. And Mr. Speaker, this bill will be able to give the Senate and the senators teeth to bite. It is very frustrating for us as lawmakers when we summon these people to appear before the Senate or the committees and they don't appear, Mr. Speaker. And most of them, it's not that they have serious businesses that is making them not to come. It's just that they ignore because they know even if they don't come, there is nothing that will be done to them that, you know, that will make them feel. So I would suggest, like others, Mr. Speaker, that the fine be raised to the 10 million that is suggested, and also a way of making sure that this money will be recovered. Whether the people's time is finished, term is finished, or they are still working, that this money will be recovered. Mr. Speaker, I thank you and I support.
Senator Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to support this very important amendment bill. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Article 96 of the Constitution, 3, the mandate of the Senate is to oversight or exercise oversight of a national revenue allocated to the county governments. Mr. Speaker, the national government every month, on the 15th of every month, is supposed to disperse some amount of money as passed by this Senate to every county. Once the governors receive this money, they are supposed to utilize it as per the budget that the county assemblies have passed. Mr. Speaker, as they do that, it is our mandate as a Senate to keep on checking on how they are using the disbursements, Mr. Speaker. And that's why we have two important committees, that is a CPIC and CPAC. CPIC on checking on the Auditor General's inquiries or audit queries. And of course, when it comes to CPAC, no, the other way around, Mr. Speaker. CPAC is on the books of account, and CPIC is on investments in the counties, Mr. Speaker. Even the standing committees, Mr. Speaker, are allowed to invite governors and ask them questions on the running of county affairs. It is at this particular time, Mr. Speaker, some governors are not able to honor such invitations. Once they invited once or twice, the committee may want to issue summons. We have issued summons, Mr. Speaker, and some governors have refused to appear before the committee. I'm speaking about the governors because they are the most notorious people who decline the invitations of the summons. Mr. Speaker, the amount that was put in the previous law, or in the law that we are amending, was 500,000, which is just pocket change to some governors, Mr. Speaker. And that's why I agree with everyone who is saying even 2 million is little. What we should do, Mr. Speaker, in the amendment that I will be recommending, is to have not less than 2 million, but not more than 10 million. So that now the committee can have enough time to see this governor has been invited so many times, this is what he has been saying. A good example is the governor of Isiolo. He is out there trying to malign the name of this good Senate, saying he cannot come. Even if he's invited, he cannot come. What do you do to such a governor, Mr. Speaker? You give him the heaviest fine ever, so that he understands this is the Senate of Kenya, the one and only, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo, the Senator for Nyandarua wishes to inform you.
Yeah, I wish to be informed.
Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I would have been surprised if he refused not to be informed. I just wanted to actually use the very specific words, I think the verbatim of what the governor has said, that the only people who can hold him accountable, he can only answer to the people of Isiolo. not the committee of parliament, not the Senate itself. Nobody can talk to him, nobody can ask him questions, apart from the people of Isiolo. If it is not such a person that, if you cannot take action on such a person, then what becomes of the space of parliament? It is that information that I wanted to pass.
Thank you very much, Senator Nyandaro, for that information. And the good governor should read Article 2 of the Constitution, that the same people that he is talking about, they have delegated power to the parliament. We are elected, Mr. Speaker. And he should also read Article 125 of the Constitution that says that parliament can summon anybody to come to this house. So, Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, can you imagine having a governor like that who has no respect for this Senate? It should give any committee leeway to give that governor a fine. But once we give a fine, Mr. Speaker, how do we effect that? I think within the law, we should also say any governor who is seated before the next election, before you are cleared by IEBC, you should also be cleared by Parliament, Mr. Speaker. So that when you are taking your papers to IEBC to be cleared for the next running, you should also be cleared by Parliament. So that at least if you owe Parliament anything, you pay at that particular time. Mr. Speaker, my committee on roads and transportation and housing, we summoned Governor of Nairobi, Governor Sakaja, after missing numerous invitation, and we fined him 500,000 Kenyan shillings, Mr. Speaker. Last week, the state governor paid the amount to the Senate, 500,000. But I noted something, Mr. Speaker. He paid through a banker's check, Mr. Speaker. And you know a banker's check, that money can come to any account. And that is what I'm going to do as a committee. We need to check